TNC, Original African Stories. Listener discretion is advised as this podcast may contain violence or strong language.
Previously on Aso Ebi.
Mohini Lulu Briggs! Oh my goodness, you look the same!
Wow, Sherry, you look different. So amazing, Lord.
Oh my God, babe, are you married?
If I talk now, you people will say she has come again. Simple biodata is the only thing I have asked of this receptionist. Is it rocket science to document a patient's name, age, and sex? Do you need to be Napoleon Bonaparte to do that? Any outstanding appointments? Because I need to leave this hospital.
Hey, babe.
She all but fell off her chair when she heard the familiar baritone on the other end of the call.
Charles?
You rang me, no?
Her phone really did have a mind of its own.
Did you get my message last night?
I did. I didn't feel like coming over. I'll see you tonight. So, wear something nice. Preferably that red sheer one you had on the last time.
Don't stand me up, oh.
Anita stared at her phone and asked herself why she made that call. She convinced herself that it was absolutely necessary. Bami was like family, and the only other stable man she could parade before her mother and sisters was Charles. Anita dragged herself out of bed and grudgingly walked towards her large closet. She was really not in the right frame of mind for frolicking, but it was family. She had to be there. Besides, she had missed being with all her sisters in the same place, and she was yet to hold the bundle of joy being named. She had been made an aunt for the 9th time, this time by her little sister. Going for a family event at her age without at least a husband was like wearing red and dancing in front of a honey pool. A husband and children had graduated from being accessories in her family to being actual clothes. Without them, everyone saw you as naked taboo. She was determined to escape the questions, prayers, words of advice, and poorly disguised attempts at matchmaking. The last time, one of her mother's friends suggested that she stop driving her big car because it was scaring suitors away. In her grand wisdom, the woman said that men did not like rich women. She had brushed it aside at first, but there's nothing like a long drive home to an empty house and cold bed to make you start seeing the wisdom in foolish statements. In fair Verona, where we lay our scene. Oh damn, wrong script, sorry. The scene in the Momoh's residence is one that is not new to it. Towering headscarves, flashy colors, thick smell of that mouth-watering firewood jollof, and the live band in the distance. Dr. Anita Momoh had blended seamlessly into this picture, and one can tell that she's at home. The grin spread on Anita's face hard as she tried, refused to subside. She could not be happier. Whoever gave Charles the script he was acting on had her eternal thanks. He had been so charming. She was certain that her mother was already thinking up wedding colors. Her sisters had made it a duty to reiterate the "grab this one, oh," that her mother always said. She could not take her eyes off him, and he stayed glued to her all afternoon. He had even held her pink clutch purse and guided her into the open space that held the guests. He was definitely getting rewarded for this. Amidst the loud music and chatter, Anita looked around in search of Charles. She wondered which of her sisters had taken him away for interrogation. She was beginning to feel uncomfortable. She went into the open space, genuflecting to greet the elderly men making their way past her. She had barely stepped out when she heard a voice beside her.
Excuse me. You Anita, right?
Hard as she tried, there was nothing familiar about the face of the tall, light-skinned girl that stood in front of her. She was well-dressed, and her weave obviously cost a lot. Anita wondered why she had not done something about the half-tooth that screamed for attention. The girl had only said a sentence, and the half-tooth practically jumped at her.
There's even no need to answer. I'm sure you are the one.
The girl was not smiling anymore. She pulled at the tail of her blue jacket. It looked like she was dancing on the balls of her feet. She was moving without really moving.
I came here to disgrace you. But I saw your family and changed my mind. You know why? I am a good person. But let me tell you something, oh. Goodness, they expire. So for your own benefit, leave my boyfriend alone. Jonah in the sheep, oh she.
Girl. But wait, oh. Where is Charles? OMG, guys. Where is the Charles boy now? Anita's feet could not carry her fast enough. She saw her elder sisters make a beeline for the girl from the corner of her eye, but she needed to get out of the place. She managed to keep her head up and look straight ahead as she walked out as fast as her 5-inch heels would let her. She could feel eyes piercing from every angle. If she knew anything about Charles, it was his love for freedom. This understanding was what kept their friendship going. He had an itch that she knew how to scratch, and he was perfect at scratching hers too. So, who was this girl? Later that night, in the quiet Gbadebo mansion.
I feel really bad, Jay. I promised Anita I was going to attend the naming ceremony. I don't even understand.
Moini grumbled as she took off her red pumps with one hand and removed the pin in her weave with the other. She sat at the edge of the bed, away from the door, her feet barely touching the cold marble floor, and did everything she could to avoid looking at her husband.
I know you've made me a housewife, and my life's purpose is to cater to you. But when I'm not catering to you, I hope you know I like to cater to myself as well. I have a life, Jay. I have friends, things I do. Does all that even matter to you? But of course, you are the piper, and the tune is yours to dictate. That is why you wake up by 9 a.m. and tell me to get dressed for a 10 a.m. function. Like I don't have plans of my own.
Jayola was doing all he could to hide his smile.
My life's purpose is to cater to you.
He pulled off his kaftan over his head and flung it to the floor in front of her. Moini stared at it, rolled her eyes, and snatched it off the floor. Her anger always amused him. She would go on and on when she got angry, and then when she had exhausted herself, she would start complaining about hunger. Of course, the "I eat too much because I don't have a job" whine will come on immediately after. He knew his wife all too well. However, he never understood her desire to work. He had more than both their extended families could spend. He provided for all her needs, her wants, and then some.
Oh yeah, sorry now. Come, let me rub your feet.
He could not hide his smile anymore. He turned just in time to see her sashay into the bathroom. The sound of the door as she banged it shut with all the anger in her dispelled thoughts of her hips from his mind. He stared at the shut door and smiled to himself. Life was perfect. Now, if only they would get pregnant. Starting a family was long overdue. He could not understand his wife's reason for refusing to visit the fertility clinic. God's time for them had better be soon.
See what you've done now. See what you've done. Now I'm hungry.
He had not noticed when Moini walked out of the bathroom. She stood, her back naked to him, tying up her hair in front of a hand-carved wooden-framed vanity mirror. He smiled to himself, reached out and dragged her towards the bed. Surely, God needs their help to hasten the work.
This imbecile still isn't picking his phone. I swear I will get in my car and drive down to Lekki this night. Fool.
Babe, you need to be calm. See, just forget him. Just let it go and forget him. I've told you he's bad for you.
Moini, you should have been there. Nah, he needs to hear from me. I hate drama in my life.
Babe, have some tea or something to calm you down. Or do you want me to come over?
It's fine. Don't bother. I'm just too pained. Anyway, you said you had big news.
Oh yeah, chop keys. Mwah. To hell with all these men, babe. I'll divorce Jay and we'll get married, okay?
LOL. I love you, boo. So, what's your big news?
Oh yes, Anita. I got invited for an interview. Next week. I didn't think it will happen, but it did.
That's huge! We should do lunch tomorrow after church. I'm so happy for you.
We should. Random question. Is Jay supposed to feel the thing in my pom-pom? He complained about it today and he never has. Is that normal?
We can check it tomorrow, before lunch. I'll meet you at the hospital and I'll have a look. Night, boo.
Okay, good night. P.S. I'm serious about us getting married. Who are you talking to?
She stares at her husband. There was something suspicious about the way he stood in the doorway, like a child that had been caught stealing.
It's just my new vice. He wanted to go through some things before Monday.
At midnight on a Saturday, Jay.
She pulled the switch of the lamp beside her so he could see her raised eyebrow. He kissed her forehead, fluffed the cotton-sheathed pillow, and lay down with his back to her. She opened her mouth and tapped his shoulder as she carefully slid his phone from underneath his pillow.
I don't believe you, Jay. I don't.
He turned, his eyes pleading with her to drop the subject.
Who are you talking to, Jay? You don't lie to me, remember?
He sighed and sat up.
I employed a new vice. Bjorn had to leave us, so I employed this new guy last week. He's even still going through the ropes.
He saw that the question in her eyes and at the tip of her tongue was not disappearing soon, so he touched her face and assured her.
I don't lie to you, sugar.
Dissatisfied, she nodded and lowered her back to lie flat on the bed.
You know, I heard women are more fertile at midnight.
He said he heard though. Nah, so. You guys know how these men can be when they are horny, sha. Inventing more nonsense than that Uber Facts Twitter account. More fertile at midnight call, more fertile at midnight knee. Anyways, back to our story.
No mother-in-law, yet person no go hear word about picking.
Moini murmured inaudibly as she shuffled her body further from him. She carefully dropped his phone on the marble floor beside her and reached for the lamp switch. Her eyes glanced at the phone again and she bent over, yielding to her curiosity. She opened the call history and the calm in her head was gradually replaced by a loud pounding.
Angela. Angela. Jay.
She swallowed hard.
Is your new vice male or female?
She asked with her eyes still fixed on the phone screen.
Male.
He replied drowsily. Thanks for listening to Aso Ebi, the podcast, brought to you by The Naked Convos, produced by 808 Extra. Theme song, Charles Onwubia, aka Beethoven, narrated by Feifei. Voice actors, Jasper Tomomewo as Jayola, Eniola Keshiro as Moini, Jojo Amiegbe as Dr. Anita, extra character, Mary Colette Namka. This podcast is available everywhere you listen to podcasts on. Don't forget to subscribe and share.